We're going to jump into your scope that you're using currently. It's an AGM Adder V2 LRF, 50 millimeter objective, 640 resolution. What particularly caught your eye?
The built-in LRF. That was one of the reasons why I wanted to go with a scope like that. Was I've got some properties that's got some pretty big fields. Granted, I'd love to call every coyote into 100 yards, but I also know that I've had to take a couple coyotes at 300. I need to know whether it's 300 or 350, or if it's 275. Anything over 200, my gun is, you're compensating at that point. 0 to 200, I'm good. So the LRF was a built-in on this scope, and so far it's been spot on. That's been a huge decision for me.
So if the LRF is in someone's budget?
Absolutely. I mean, I guess you got to look at the properties that you're hunting or to be hunting, and know that, most guns, after 200 yards, you're going to need to know. But if no place you hunt is any further than that, then it's not that big of a deal. I started off, and I started off with, the Ricks Leap 3. It was a great scope. My wife still uses it. My properties outgrew my optics, and was part of the reason of going to 640, a little bit more clarity. LRF, having that range.
Any quirks about the scope that you'd like to fix in the future?
The only thing, and I know that you probably heard me complain, is it's some of the labeling inside the scope, as far as symbols and stuff. They don't refer to it as Wi-Fi. It's a hotspot, which is still run off your Wi-Fi. Little things like that was a little bit of an issue, trying to find certain things. I'm a creature habit, so using the Ricks for a little over a year, and knowing how everything worked there, changing it up, I still have a tendency to go to the power button on top. I did like the big power button on the top, take it out of standby mode. That big one button, I did like that, versus a power button on the AGMs back here with your LRF and your video thing. So you do have to make sure that, if you've got gloves on, you're pushing buttons trying to get your scope to come back on, and you're pushing the wrong one. Minor issue, and that's just muscle memory. I've never seen a scope come on so fast. That's been a huge thing. Is that there's
less than 5 seconds?
Yes, it was 3 seconds. 3 seconds, you got a screen you can shoot out of. It is definitely, for some reason, if your scope had shut down, or you hadn't even turned your scope on or something, and something happened fast, that scope definitely isn't going to let you down far as, coming on.
Yeah, I've seen scopes that wouldn't come off standby that fast. Who do you think this scope is best suited for?
I think that the scope's good for everybody. We all know that at a certain range, a deer can look like a coyote. At a certain range, I don't care what scope you're using, especially if it's a 384. So it's just the next level for me. I don't regret starting out at a 384, and the properties I was hunting at the time, it worked fine for. I mean, and that Ricks never let me down. The sighting in procedure for the AGM, I think, is a little bit easier for fine tuning than say the Ricks was. So far, the AGM has been a super solid scope. The only fault that I can honestly say, and it's really not a fault, it's just something you got to get used to, is that because of how the eye relief is made, the nut that holds the lens in is just different than others. So you have to be a little bit closer to get full screen. It's not like you got to have your eye on it. Coming from the Ricks had a big eye relief, and you had full screen a little bit further away. The battery life, with it being a 640, is very good. I don't run on internal. I usually just change out my batteries as my external. And, you can definitely get a couple hours out of that external battery. So I've been really happy with that.
What do you like about this scope the most so far?
The LRF and the different color palettes, because depending on, terrain, the light, whether there's snow on or anything, it's got different color palettes that you can choose from to better suit the terrain. I completed a kill of every color palette.
A slam.
Yeah, the color palette slam. And I've only owned that scope for maybe 2 months, 2 or 3 months, and it's worked very well. It's never, the zero's never moved on it. I look forward to doing more shooting this summer to get my ballistic calculator fully set up. It's close, but I need to adjust some speeds in there to get my exact drop. So far it's been great.
I'm going to go over the specs of the AGM Adder V2 LRF 5640. MSRP's at $47.95. It's a 640 by 512 resolution, 12 micron sensor, 50 hertz refresh rate. It has a 1,000-yard LRF built into the lens, integrated ballistics calculator. It has a huge 25 by 60 by 2560 semicircular display. Runs off 18650 batteries, an internal battery that they list at 9 hours plus. It's got recoil activation, comes with 30 millimeter ADM QD mount. It's less than 15 millikelvins NETD.
One of the things I'd like to add to that, as cool as I'd like to say I stay, hitting record is not something that I ever do. I let the scope always do it for me. I know my videos are always short, but it captures the most important part, which is for me is knowing, I don't have many runners if I do my part. Very few. If you do make a shot and you want to know if you miss or there's no question of like, God, did I hit record? It's very sensitive. It actually has recoiled off of the guy beside me. And even when I shot, it didn't restart. It kept going. So being that sensitive that it would confuse the scope but it has not missed a beat. It's actually caught more than what I've expected.
It's a lightweight scope too.
Super lightweight, the lightest that I've run with it being a polymer tube design. It's a super solid scope.